What's up, everybody? Welcome to On West Gray, the monthly podcast about all things local government in the City of Norman. I'm your host, Tiffany Verska, Chief Communications Officer for the City of Norman, and we appreciate you tuning in. Today in the studio, we have with us Municipal Court Administrator Ronda Guerrero and former council member Bill Scanlon. They're here today to share with us some of their incredible work over at the Municipal Court, and we couldn't be more excited to hear about it. Ronda, Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now for some background information. The Municipal Criminal Court of Norman is the judicial branch of our city government and is created by state law and city ordinance as a court not of record to impartially hear violations of city ordinances. The court processes misdemeanor traffic and non-traffic offenses as well as parking violations. More citizens come into contact with the judicial system through municipal courts than any other type of court, and our staff, judges, and associated volunteers work incredibly hard to ensure that they have productive, efficient, and impartial experiences. Something that the Norman Municipal Court has become known for is the Dispute Mediation and Early Settlement Program, which allows individuals to voluntarily resolve disputes in out-of-court procedures. That's what we're going to learn about today. Ronda, could you tell me some more about this program?
Yes, let's just start off where it began. It started off in 1988. It's been going strong for 30 years. And what's unique about our City of Norman program is that all of our mediators are volunteer. We receive no funding from the state of Oklahoma.
What type of, issues do you handle through this program?
The type of citations that come through mediations are referred from our city attorneys. Our city attorneys will review our cases that come in municipal court. 99% of them are from municipal court, and they're usually signed complaints. And when I say signed complaints, they're from maybe a neighbor to a neighbor. An officer didn't witness the incident. Most of the citations are either disturbing the peace, molesting property, nuisance dog. So it's nice to have, those are cases we do not want to really go to court. They may work out better through mediation.
Yeah. So the purpose of the program you were talking about, they come through the city attorney's office. So for example, the nuisance, the animal nuisance, like give me an example of a type of issue, what it would look like to kind of work that out in court.
Well, let me backtrack a little bit. Our cases are reviewed every morning from our city attorneys. Our city attorneys will see that there are signed complaints, so they may refer those over to our mediation program. We had about 400 cases that went through our program last year. Mediation is a great program where there's a third person involved. A third party involved is our mediator. Our mediator then sits down, listens to each party. It's a confidential process. It really empowers everybody involved because at any time, a citizen can say, I do not want to participate. And the mediation would be over. But what the mediator does, he listens to the party. They get to voice what happened. They get to communicate their feelings. A lot of times, that's all someone needs. They just need time to reflect on the situation. Then the mediator goes and listens to the other party. At that point, they can come to a resolution. They can negotiate an agreement that everybody's satisfied with. So what I like to say, it's a win-win for everyone. Because we do not want, if we can resolve the issue, neighbors can go out and go back and live beside each other without not a charge be going where they don't have a charge that's went through court. No one's paid a fine. They weren't assessed court cost. Also, nothing went on anybody's record. From a court clerk's perspective, I look at it as case management. We're able to control our dockets where we can dispose of cases in a timely fashion. As I said before, 400 cases went through this program, so we're very proud of the program and the results that it's had.
Well, thank you for that background information, Ronda. And Bill, can you tell me about your role in the program?
My job as a mediator is to listen, first and foremost. Ronda talked about cases that come before mediation. And I've seen a little bit of all of them over the coming up on 6 years of doing this volunteer mediation job. Explain a little bit about how I introduce the sessions, and Ronda touched on this, but I think it's really important that we meet in a confidential setting. No record is kept other than the report that I write and that the individuals sign, assuming we come to an agreement. I tell them up front, as Rhonda indicated, that anybody can stop the proceeding. If they think it's not going anywhere, they can stop it, or I can stop it. I've done that seldom. I really like to hear what people say. I also remind them that this is their opportunity to have a solution that's satisfactory to them. Because if it does, the dispute does go to court, a judge will decide, and that may provide an outcome that one or the other of them don't like. So they have a lot of power going into this thing, and the result is going to be favorable to both, actually, because it's by definition a compromise. One thing that Rhonda didn't say that I will interject, most of the, and virtually all of the cases that I've worked over this time have been referred by the city attorney in the court. However, there is a provision for if some parties within the city want to have a dispute mediated, they can come to the court because Rhonda's staff does manage this program. They can say, I'd like mediation. It doesn't have to come from the city attorney. It can come directly from the citizen, and that will be put onto the schedule and we'll mediate that, which is totally removed from the municipal court process, but it is a service available to citizens of the city.
Well, that is great information to have. Thank you for sharing that with us. I know that a lot of the information, I think, as you had mentioned, is confidential, but could you give us any, vague examples of situations that have been worked through and maybe what the result of that process was for residents?
The mediation, in my experience, could run 15 minutes or 2 hours. And one of the unique features of the municipal court's proceeding is that we're open-ended. The district court has mediators as well. And there it's a little different because they're working within an assigned docket. The judge may the mediator sit in the courtroom during this 2 or 3 hour docket. If a judge believes that mediation is appropriate, he says, you go mediate, and sends the parties out with the mediator. And they usually have half an hour, 35 minutes, something like that, to come up with a solution. We're open-ended. As long as it takes, as long as there's progress, I'm willing to sit there and listen. And as long as the parties, who, again, can terminate if they wish, as long as they're willing to sit and talk, then we're making progress. And I have, as I said, I've gone as long as 2 hours to reach an agreement. Usually it's quicker than that. The 2 hours I referred to, there was a case, and again, I cannot talk to specifics, but it was a neighbor versus neighbor proposition. And in this particular case, some 15 neighbors wanted to sit in on the proceeding that's really involved. One neighbor who was the party being complained about, and 3 of his neighbors who had signed a complaint. We went on for almost 2 hours. And though it's past protocol, I did allow, because I could see people in the audience itching a little bit, I did allow a couple of them to speak. The result was fantastic. It was worth the time. And everybody, including the parties at the table and the 13 observers, went away satisfied. I felt really good about that.
Yeah, I have to interject and say that was the skill set of our mediator there. When that came in, I remember those cases coming in. I did not know how we would come to an agreement or a resolution with so many people involved, because then you have so many different opinions too. Mm-hmm. I think that Bill's skill set spoke volumes there, and he was able to come to a resolution that everybody was satisfied with.
Well, that is wonderful to hear. And you spoke, I think, Rhonda, you had mentioned more than 400 cases had gone through the mediation program last year.
Last fiscal year, we referred, the city attorneys referred 400 cases. Of course, being a court administrator, your dockets can get full very quickly. So it helps with case management as well. So that's why I say it's a win for us. For the parties involved, again, nobody's paying court cost, and they're not going to trial in front of a judge because you don't know what's going to happen. You have more power and control over the process if you go through mediation.
And it's my understanding that this program has become kind of a statewide standard or a glowing model for other cities. Can you speak to me a little bit about that? I mean, how unique is this program, or is it found to be common?
I think because we are a larger municipality, we are leaders. Everybody looks towards Norman. I love to network with other municipalities and let the other court clerks know about our program. Maybe they can implement a mediation program to help their caseload and also just to help resolve issues in their communities.
I'm going to interject and brag just a little bit. Rhonda's absolutely right, and you're absolutely right, Tiffany, in terms of our program having some notoriety statewide. And I'm going to claim partial credit for that. One of the things I do in my spare time is write a column for the paper, the transcript. And I devoted one of those columns to the mediation program, describing what it was, what the process entailed, and so on. That column was picked up by the state Supreme Court that monitors and administers the programs, the early settlement program statewide. Mm-hmm. That ended up featured on their website as a model in terms of things to think about and pursue.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't me. It was me simply reflecting the program that Ronda administers.
That is awesome. And let me ask you this. I'm not sure if you had mentioned, do you know how many mediators you have right now?
Well, yes, we have 4 mediators, but we actually just had partnered with Cleveland County Mediation Department, and we partnered and did a training session. So we got 3 new mediators. They're not all the way done through their training. They had 20 hours of training here at the council chambers. We had the state director of Oklahoma come in. He does all the training. Everything's free for the participant. We do some role playing. Then they will observe some of our mediators. They've all asked to mediate. They've all asked to observe, of course, Mr. Scanlon. They love watching him. And I know they can learn from him. He helped us that day with the training. Mm-hmm. So we will have soon 7 mediators. But we've had some mediators that have been here for over 10 years. They're all walks of life. They're professionals in our community. They're retirees. They give up their free time to come and give back to the community in this way by volunteering and helping people resolve their issues.
Right. Yeah, I'll say 2 of the students that we had in the Citizens Academy, I think, went on to go through your mediation training, and they were very excited about it. We just had their graduation last week, and they gave a shout out to you, Rhonda, because they are excited to be in that program. So thank you. So again, if people want to be a part of, this program, if they want to be a mediator, in a nutshell, what are the requirements? Would they have to, how many days a week or a month, or is it kind of flexible? What does that look like?
Our program is, we have our mediations on Mondays, and they're after work at 5 o'clock. And it's for both parties. It's for if some of the professionals are still working, so they can still work their daytime job. And then the participants, if they're at work, they can come in after work. We have it at 5 o'clock in our courtroom. We've had time when we've had scheduled one on a Thursday if that was more convenient for someone, but usually we have them on Mondays afternoon. The training is fairly short. It's about 20 hours, as I mentioned beforehand.
The training that the state administers as part of the certification process is 20 hours, 2 days, involving some tutorials, some role-playing. And my part in the recent training was helping to monitor and critique the role-playing. It doesn't end there, and Rhonda was touching on this. After that process takes place, would-be mediators will now observe me or some other qualified mediator doing a mediation. They may observe once, they may do it multiple times, depending on their comfort level. The way we will proceed with the new mediators in municipal court is they'll do some observations. They will then co-mediate with me. In other words, I will introduce them to the parties, and explain their role. And it allows them to take a more active role in the process. And for those that co-mediate with me, when I think that they're doing what I think they should be doing. but I will then notify Ronda, who will in turn notify Phil Johnson, who administers this program for the state, and he will issue the formal certification certificate, at which point those folks are allowed to go solo. And there's one other bit of training that happens, and it's an annual thing. It's a day-long seminar that the court puts on for statewide mediators, and at which there are a number of presentations, things that are common to some or all of the various constituencies within the state. Very interesting, and a chance to meet and mingle and get ideas from your other mediators in other locations. I, for one, don't have the market on everything. I learn every time I talk to these people, so it's an important part of the process.
Gotcha. And the training, is this kind of scheduled as needed as you get interest? If people were wanting to pursue becoming a mediator, do they contact?
Yeah, they can. It's on our website on the City of Norman, our municipal court page. There's a section about mediation. My contact information is on there. My email address is on there, and I'll talk often with the program director over at Cleveland County. I think it was very successful to have our program, our training together. I think we had about 12 people there. Now and as Bill said earlier, that he could go do a mediation over at district court. He is needed here, so I'm pretty busy with us. We have mediation. We do about 4 to 5 mediations a month, usually once a week. But there could be, we've even scheduled 2 mediations at once. There may be somebody back in another office at municipal court and then one in the courtroom.
All right. Well, I think you all have given us some great information about this program and how people can support and become involved. Is there anything else that either of you would like to share with people that you'd like them to know about this program?
I want to say yes, because I know people always want to know how can they help their community. This is a great way to get involved with your community, give back, and help resolve issues. So I think it's fulfilling to see people work through things, knowing that those neighbors will go back and be in the community and be able to live beside each other.
I completely agree. Again, I think a lot of disputes can be settled simply by someone listening. The catharsis involved in just having somebody listen to you, and then have the other party's point of view on the table as well, and the back and forth that takes place. It works wonders. It is a great thing, and I mentioned earlier the fact that it doesn't have to be court ordered to have happen, but the notion of having that service available to citizens in Norman, I think, is a really valuable asset, and maybe in the future we'll see it used more often. Scheduling difficulties for the court, perhaps, but a positive for the city.
Absolutely. Well, I think communication's everything, right? Might be a little biased as the communications officer, but yes. Well, thank you all so much for coming in. And as Rhonda said, if you would like to learn more about this program, please log on to www.normanok.gov. Thank you all for being with us today.
Thank you.
Questions or commentary about On West Gray can be sent into publicaffairs@normanok.gov. Shouts to our producer and editor, Mr. Bryce Holland of the City of Norman Communications Office. Listeners are reminded that this week, Friday, October 14th, is the last day to register to vote in order to take part in the Oklahoma general election occurring November 8th. We'll have a governor to choose, senators, House reps, and more, so make sure you get registered if you aren't yet. Visit normanok.gov/norman-news to enroll in email notifications for city PSAs, traffic advisories, and more. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and always remember to cast your ballot. I'm Tiffany Verska. Thank you for tuning in to On West Gray.